You are watching the news on the hour brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria ACNN television. I am Zubechi Frank. You are welcome. The news starts on a good note as rising from its Episcopal Synod held on the 24th of September 2019 at the Church of St. Peter's Cathedral, Asaba. And to the glory of God, the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion has, through its dean, the Most Reverend Buba Lamido, announced the election of the Most Reverend Henry Chukwudu Ndukuba as the new primate of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. He is to succeed the Most Reverend Dr. Nicholas D. Oko, the current primate.
The Episcopal Synod has graciously sat down under God and elected a new primate. The election was presided over by the Registrar of Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. This has taken place and the Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba was duly elected as the new primate who takes over from Most Reverend Nicholas Oko on the 24th of March 2020 by the grace of God. We are grateful to God that the election was successful, it was peaceful, it was not without challenges as it will be with any election. But glory be to God, the church came together and unanimously had this election successfully. We thank God. We should continue to pray for the new primate. It is therefore with joy that we announce to our church, the Anglican Communion, and worldwide that we have a new primate elect who takes over come 25th of March 2020.
Born in 1959 in Nigeria, the Most Reverend Henry Chukwudu Ndukuba was consecrated the first bishop of the Diocese of Gombe with 7 other bishops on the 21st of September 1999. At the General Synod meeting, which held at St. Paul's Cathedral in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, on 22nd September 2017, the House of Bishops elected Henry Ndukuba, Bishop of Gombe, as the new Archbishop of Jos to succeed Benjamin Kwashi, the Bishop of Jos. The Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, Bishop of Gombe Diocese, Archbishop of the Ecclesiastical Province of Jos, and Chairman of the Liturgy and Spirituality Committee of the Church of Nigeria, will assume office as the primate of all Nigeria in March 2020, at the expiration of the term in office of the current primate of the Church of Nigeria, the Most Reverend Dr. Nicholas D. Oko. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba on his election as the new primate-elect of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion by the Episcopal Synod of the Church, which held in Asaba, Delta State. The President, through his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, felicitated with members of the Anglican Communion in Nigeria on the successful election of a new spiritual leader who will, by the grace of God, direct the affairs of the Church in the next 10 years from March 2020. He also appreciated the role of the Anglican Church in promoting interfaith dialogue, peace, stability, education, and social welfare in the country. President Buhari also commended the outgoing primate of the Church of Nigeria, His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Nicholas D. Oko, for his dedication, service, and leadership, recounting the invaluable support this administration has received from the Church. Spiritual leaders have been called upon to stand for the truth and speak against the evil being perpetrated against the innocent in the country. Now, this call was made by the Bishop of Olu Diocese, the Most Reverend Bennett Okoro, during his sermon at the consecration of bishops and the presentation of an archbishop held at the Cathedral Church of St. Peter's Anglican Church in Delta State. ACNN News correspondent Nwani Ogechukwu tells us more.
It is the consecration service of 6 bishops and presentation of an archbishop holding here at the Cathedral Church of St. Peter's Anglican Communion, Asaba, here in Delta State. Gathered here are archbishops, bishops, other clergymen, wives of clergymen, family members, friends and well-wishers who have come to celebrate with these ones.
If a man does not know how to rule his own house, how will he take care of the Church of God?
During his sermon, the Bishop of Olu Diocese, the Right Reverend Bennett Okoro, urged the newly consecrated clerics to remain steadfast in the Lord and submit themselves to the Lordship of Christ.
To be able to take care of your family, spiritual leadership begins at home. For if you cannot lead your family well, you definitely cannot lead the flock of Christ. Eli was a failure as far as family relationship was concerned. As bishops, as you assume duties, they are the tale-bearers. Don't act on gossip. The Christian leader is an under-shepherd submitting to the lordship of Christ as the chief shepherd. Your supreme aim is to do the will of God in Christ.
He also urged all clerics to stand up and speak against the evil being perpetrated in the country, stressing that the church ought to be the voice of the nation.
First call for good leadership in your country. There is serious shortage of committed leaders in Nigeria and the world today. Nigerians are what they are because most of our leaders are not what they should be. Maintain good relationship with them and tell them their faults in love, so as to win them over to the path of rectitude.
During his address, the Primate of all Nigeria, His Grace, the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, commended the Governor of Delta State for all the support being given to the communion.
Of this church, we want to render our appreciation to His Excellency and his dear wife, and to thank them for what they are doing. We do know that it's not because they will be somebody will thank them that they are doing what they are doing. They are serving God, and they know that they are serving God. So may God, whom they serve, continue to bless them, continue to increase them, continue to stabilize them in their government activities. God bless this administration for the benefit of the people of Delta State. In Jesus' mighty name.
The high point of the service was consecration of the 6 bishops and presentation of the staff of office to them, and also the presentation of the archbishops, hymns and songs of praise by the choir.
In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
During an interview after the service, some of the newly consecrated bishops expressed their joy over the event as they called on every members of their diocese, both home and abroad, to support them for the diocese to move forward.
Our God is never late, and whatever He has patterned and purpose to our lives must come to fruition. He said it many years ago, but God makes things beautiful at His own time. So this is the time that He is sending us to go and build the diocese. That is going to bring a great transformation to Kiosun Diocese.
The Lord has done it for us. And the Lord that has done it, we do greater things in the Kiosun Diocese.
I'm happy. I'm very elated. Though we didn't expect it, but the Lord humbled us by the election. So we thank God. We shall be faithful to Him who has chosen us.
So we need prayers, encouragement, and support to be able to meet the standards already set by the grace of God.
Very happy
I feel fulfilled by the grace of God, and we bless the name of the Lord for what He has done.
To make sure that we keep working hard to see that this kingdom of God is expanded in our own time and in our generation, and also make sure that we make the Diocese of Nnewi the pride of the Church of Nigeria. Most importantly, Anglicans will no longer be hiding in Anambra State. We're going to fight for Anglicans. We're going to fight for everybody. We're going to make sure that religious intolerance is reduced to the barest minimum in Anambra State.
Succeeding Archbishop of the province of the Niger, and wishing him well in the office. God has called him, and since God has called him, he must reciprocate by being upright, by making everybody his own, and by also doing things that will help move the province forward. And for my own bishop, who is succeeding me, I wish him well also in office. God has called him, and since God called him, God has equipped him.
From Asaba in Delta State, Nwanne Ogechukwu, ACNN News.
A very big congratulations to all bishops consecrated, especially to our very own bishop, the Right Reverend Folusho Taiwo. God bless your ministry, my Lord Bishop. The youths of the Diocese of Abuja under the Anglican Youth Fellowship gathered for the second edition of the annual marriage seminar themed Singles and Married Connect, held at the Basilica of Grace Anglican Church, Gudu District, Abuja. ACNN News correspondent Charles Philip Owakolam tells us more.
Even without telling Adam, when Adam woke up, he knew that something went out of me. A man cannot be complete without a wife.
The annual marriage seminar of the Anglican Youth Fellowship Abuja Diocesan Council held successfully for the second consecutive year at the Basilica of Grace Church, Kudu, Abuja. The youths considered the theme, Marriage on Purpose, discussing ways of building good and godly homes in marriage.
So as we grow, especially as youths, we intentionally try to take people to identify their God-given purposes and also ensure that they are fulfilled.
It takes a lot in marriage. It takes a lot of hard work. You have to be purpose-driven. You must have the mindset of which you want to see in your marriage. Many divorce in the society today. That's why we had to sit as young ones, interact within ourselves and ask ourselves what we need to put in the right place.
The 7 hours program featured worship, prayers, discussions with seasoned guest ministers such as evangelist Chibuzo Anunando, Barrister Mrs. Chikodi Okore, Evangelist Joseph Motuga, and Sister Blessing Christian.
We must have a purpose. You don't just jump into relationships.
The youths were at the course of the program engaged in sharing their own experiences as well as sharing their thoughts on other topical issues.
Programs like this are actually meant to help our youths to make the right choices, especially with relationships and marriage. It's a very good avenue to actually reorientate ourselves and let's understand what God's purpose for marriage and relationship is. And I think it's a very good avenue because from what has been discussed, I'm very sure that a lot of people are evaluating their relationships, and some who have maybe closed their minds up to relationship have seen the need to actually go into one because it's something that's profitable and it's something that is ordained by God, and it's something that is beneficial to both parties when they go into it.
In the way of choosing the right partner, many people are really mistaken, and it leads to destructions at the end of everything because we have actually heard a lot in this program that has to tell us procedures and ways we need to follow in order to get the right partner of our lives, not going the other way because at the end it's not always sweet.
I enjoyed the program, and it's a very good platform where youths, male and female, comes together to connect, to know themselves. You make new friends. It's not all about relationships.
I care not to know who is standing against your relationship. I pray for you. The Lord
With programs such as this, the Abuja Diocesan Council of Anglican Youth Fellowship aims at building couples with good homes in the nearest future.
Of course, in fulfilling God's purpose in one's life, you find out that it is a gradual process. It's very progressive. And so we need to intentionally be aware of the fact that marriage is part of growth in one's life. So we cannot separate marriage from the growth process. So we need to intentionally ensure that in terms of marriage, we need to fulfill our purpose. So that was what informed us in our choice. And also in planning for our marriage, we need to be intentional about the choices we make.
Charles Philip Wakulam, ACNN TV News.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has approved the immediate redeployment of 2 ministers of state. Those redeployed are Festus Keyamo and Tayo Alashwadure. Now, this is according to Willie Ebase, the Director of Information at the Office of Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who noted that Mr. Festus Keyamo, Minister of State for Niger Delta Affairs, is to move to Ministry of Labour and Employment as Minister of State, while Senator Tayo is to move to Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs as Minister of State. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, has appealed to the nations of the world through the United Nations to support the African continent in her fight against abject poverty, illiteracy, unemployment and other hostilities and challenges such as racism, xenophobia, trafficking, money laundering and others. He said that Africa is furnished with resources and skills that needs to be harnessed above the current challenges.
Millions in Africa and around the world remain in abject poverty. Furthermore, we are witnessing a backlash against multilateralism in the shape of a rising tide of racism, xenophobia, resurgent nationalism, populism, and tendencies towards protectionism and unilateralism. A developed Africa will not be antagonistic to industrialized countries, but will become friends and partners in prosperity, security, and development. A prosperous Africa will mean greater prosperity for the rest of the world. A poor Africa will be a drag on the rest of the world. A coordinated multilateral effort should be set in motion to utilize and maximize the use of the enormous resources on the African continent for the benefit of all nations. We have the skills, the manpower, and the natural resources, but in many instances, we lack the capital. We request you to come and partner with us to develop the continent for the benefit of all. No threat is more potent than poverty and exclusion. They are the foul source from which common criminality, insurgency, cross-border crimes, human trafficking, and its terrible consequences draw their inspiration. Poverty, in all its manifestations, remains one of the greatest challenges facing our world. Its eradication is an indispensable requirement for achieving sustainable development.
He also spoke about Nigeria's current challenges, especially the most recent case of process and industrial development.
Nigeria is a nation of nearly 200 million people of diverse groups. Our diversity is our source of strength, which is why in the elections this year, our people back the policies of tolerance, inclusion, and community over the politics of protest and division. Our election promises emphasized political stability, freedom and prosperity, tackling poverty, schooling our young and providing them with the tools to build better lives. Nigeria has developed a national social investment program, a pro-poor scheme that targets the poorest and most vulnerable households in the country. This type of initiative can help lessen and eventually eliminate mass poverty in Africa. At the core of our efforts to build an inclusive society, our programs are focused on youth and women empowerment. To ensure access to education for all, our government has introduced the homegrown feeding program to address the challenges of out-of-school and forced out-of-school children. The present Nigerian government is facing the challenges of corruption head-on. We are giving notice to international criminal groups by the vigorous prosecution of the fee and ID scam attempting to cheat Nigeria of billions of dollars.
Also, while in New York, President Muhammadu Buhari announced robust plans and initiatives by his administration to reverse the negative effects of climate change in Nigeria. The plans were revealed in his address to the United Nations Climate Action Summit with the theme, "A race we can win, a race we must win." President Muhammadu Buhari reiterated Nigeria's commitment to its obligation under the Paris Agreement, the aspirations enshrined in the nationally determined contribution, and to ensure a resilient future that mainstreams climate risk in decision-making. He announced that the government of Nigeria will develop a more robust sectorial action plan and expand the scope of the sovereign green bonds in line with the intended upward review of Nigeria's NDCs towards the inclusion of the water and waste sectors by 2020. The president also spoke on Nigeria's plan on various sectors such as water, energy, agriculture, etc., and the plan of his administration to involve youths in the actualization of the climate resolutions.
Undeniably, climate change is a human-induced phenomenon. It is now imperative that we must step up our collective climate actions in line with the request of the Secretary General. It is in this regard that I wish to reiterate Nigeria's commitment to its obligation under the Paris Agreement, the aspirations enshrined in our national determined contribution, and ensure a resilient future that mainstream climate risks is our decision-making. I want to announce that the government of Nigeria will develop a more robust sectorial action plan and expand the scope of our sovereign green bonds in line with our intended upward review of Nigeria's NDCs towards the inclusion of the water and waste section by 2020. We will take concrete steps to harness climate innovative ideas by including youth in decision-making processes as part of our overall climate governance architecture. We will mobilize Nigerian youth towards planting 25 million trees to enhance Nigeria's carbon sink. In the energy sector, Nigeria is presently diversifying its energy sources from dependence on gas-powered system to hydro, solar, wind, biomass, and nuclear sources.
Let's go on a short break. When we return, News on the Hour continues. Please stay with us.
Getting the best hospitality and affordable luxury is what we guarantee at our guest houses right in the heart of Abuja. Decent guest houses that offers surpassing services such as 24-hour room service, constant power supply, decent non-smoking environment, parking lot, laundry service, multi-purpose hall, mini-mart, restaurant services, spacious room at affordable rate. For reservation, book online at www.anglicanguesthousesabuja.com or locate us at All Saints Guest House, 29 Tamale Street, Wuse Zone 3, Abuja. Telephone 0806-699-5823 or 0805-285-5092 or Church Guest House, 24 Douala Street, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Telephone 0816-860-7024 or 0805-677-3815.
You are welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/acnntv. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Oyo State Chapter, has reacted to the abolition of taxes and levies on religious organizations in the state by the state governor, Mr. Seyi Makinde. Makinde had on Sunday insisted that his government had waived taxes and levies on religious organizations in the state. He declared that since churches and mosques were not for profit making, it would be wrong to demand that taxes be imposed on them. State Chairman of CAN, Pastor Benjamin, while reacting, described Makinde's action on the matter as seed-sowing, noting that it is worthy of emulation by all aspiring to make heaven. Akanmo said that by the act of the governor, he has directly traded with God. He, however, agreed that all churches running businesses venture should pay every applicable taxes and levies on those businesses. The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the activities and sources of funding of non-governmental organizations for possible culpability in the unending spate of insurgency in the Northeast. This was part of the resolutions reached when a matter of urgent public importance on increased funding for the nation's security agencies was raised in the Green Chamber. A motion to regulate and investigate the activities of non-governmental organizations was raised in the 8th House of Representatives, but suffered a setback. Following the development, the House moved to probe the activities and funding of the NGOs. Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, said that the NGOs will be invited for a discussion. The House also resolved to liaise with the parliaments of other countries with a view to resolving the restrictions of arms purchased by the military. The National Association of Nigerian Students has rejected the new policy of cash deposits and withdrawals recently announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The national president of the association, Mr. Danielson Akpam, said students might stage a protest against the policy. Akpan said since the cashless policy was introduced by CBN in 2012, it had ensured seamless transactions by Nigerians in the purchase and payment of goods and services. He said the policy had contributed greatly to the reduction of financial crimes, both in the private and public sectors, adding that it had also led to significant reduction in the rate of armed robbery in communities, offices, and on highways. Akpan, however, said the new policy recently announced by the CBN had heightened concerns and raised fears amongst Nigerians, as it affected charges on deposits and withdrawals above 500,000 and 3 million naira for individuals and corporate accounts, respectively, which described as unacceptable and ridiculous. Akpan said that the new cashless policy by CBN is viewed by Nigerian students in particular and Nigerians in general as a dishonest attempt at criminally deducting customers' hard-earned savings in favor of government, just as VAT was mindlessly increased amidst growing poverty amongst the people. Ahead of the 2020 UTME, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has called on all prospective candidates for its 2020 UTME to acquire the National Identification Number. The board's spokesman, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, said that the aim was to ensure that biometric and other necessary details of a candidate were captured to check examination malpractice. Benjamin said that in a statement made available to newsmen in Lagos that the call was necessary now that registration for the 2020 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination had begun. According to him, the board has made adequate arrangement with NIMC for prospective candidates to be registered at the examination centers or with its licensed agents. He said that for such candidates who had registered and had acquired the NIN before attaining the age of 16, they would be required to update their national identification number registration status before registering for the UTME. And on sports news, European football governing body UEFA says it will tell member clubs and national teams not to play games in countries where women do not have full access to stadiums. Although UEFA did not specify which country the action would affect. Iran, however, has been the focus of attention since a female fan died earlier this month, after setting herself on fire to protest against her arrest for attending a match. Soccer's world governing body FIFA said it has been given assurances by the Iranian authorities that their World Cup qualifier against Cambodia in Tehran on October 10th will be open to women. So that's it on this edition of the News on the Hour. I want to thank you for watching. Please mend it, never end it in a hurry. I am Zubechi Frank.